As you, Hulk Hogan, travel to WrestleMania. Fill the rocket with the rocket fuel, Hulk Hogan. Take the two pilots who've already made the sacrifice, Hulk Hogan. Dump them into the sea of the warriors. Then you take the rocket and you crash it into parts unknown as you feel the power of the warriors as we go to places you have never been. Hulk Hogan. It wouldn't be a wrestling doc review if I didn't imitate the person that it was about, alright? This is the one that I've been waiting for, the A&E biography documentary series on Hall of Fame wrestlers, and this is the one that I've been waiting for, The Ultimate Warrior. It's crazy because in recent years, he's been getting shit on by his peers in the business, real wrestling enthusiasts. You know, if you go on YouTube and you type in Jim Cornette Ultimate Warrior, man, like, they just trash this guy, and understandably so, because here it is, you have this guy who knows nothing about the wrestling business, did not respect the business. He looked like $1 million. He came in, Vince McMahon saw dollar signs, and he says, I can make a superstar out of this guy. This is in the documentary. I can make a superstar out of this guy. I'd like, Ultimate Warrior was Vince McMahon's creation. Because prior to Ultimate Warrior, he was the Dingo Warrior in WCCW, and as he says it, that was like a poor man's Ultimate Warrior. And then before then, he was teamed up with Sting, and they were the Blade Runners. You know what I mean? They were like a knockoff Road Warriors. So here it is. Vince gets a hold of him and puts that Puff Daddy gloss on. You know, with the wild hair, he just gave him that quality, that Vince McMahon quality that only he can really do. And now you have the Ultimate Warrior. My introduction to him was late 80s. This was at the height of his career. Never heard of this guy. I was a Hulkamaniac all day. And I remember my homie in class, this is like 4th grade now, my homie in class, Brian, was like, hey, I know somebody who could beat Hulk Hogan. I said, what? I said, who? Who? He says, the Ultimate Warrior. I said, who the hell is the Ultimate Warrior? And then happened to watch Superstars of Wrestling. And I saw this guy come running out. He had the tassels, the veins, the just craziness. Comes to the ring, starts shaking the fucking ropes and just bugging out. And I said, who is this guy? Because Hulk Hogan, he was like larger than life. But this guy was just buck-ass wild, and you really believed in the gimmick. Jim Hellwig really embodied the gimmick. He believed in the gimmick, and that's what separates wrestlers from back then and now, is that the wrestlers back then, even if they were given a gimmick, they lived it, they believed it. And the Ultimate Warrior was a crazy-ass version of Jim Hellwig. You know what I mean? So when I got introduced to the Warrior, I was like, oh God, like I became a fan instantly, but I'm still a Hulkamaniac. So as I'm seeing him progress into the business, he has different feuds with Andre the Giant, and then I think his best feud was with Ravishing Rick Rude. That's what I think would really put Warrior on the map. And my favorite Warrior match, which doesn't say a lot because let's be real, Ultimate Warrior matches, his work was the shits, as they like to say in the business. His best match was with Ravishing Rick Rude, SummerSlam 1989, and I don't know if you can find that on YouTube, but if you can find that match, look it up. That's probably the best Warrior match you'll ever see. It's between that one and the one with Randy Savage at WrestleMania 7, I believe. It was the retirement match. I think it was the retirement match, but him and Randy Savage had a really bomb-ass feud too. There was a DVD that dropped in 2005 called The Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, which I got. And this was definitely a hit piece all the way. Like, they buried this guy in this documentary. And I felt let down as a fan because, you know how they say, never meet your heroes, they'll let you down? So I was let down without ever meeting the Warrior. Just from what I heard about him and the stories that were told, I said, God, this guy was a piece of shit. And right before I'm shooting this, I watched a YouTube video with Jim Ross. And Jim Ross was talking about how Warrior was a terrible person. He was just awful, you know what I mean? Like, nobody really had anything nice to say about the guy. But this A&E documentary, I think, really did him justice because they shined a positive light on him, even though they did tell some truth. as far as with the steroids and holding a gun to Vince's head, figuratively, because there was a situation at SummerSlam where he wanted more money, and he demanded either you pay me this money to perform or I'm not going to perform. So Vince was like, okay, I'm going to cut this check for you, but as soon as, the match was over, Vince was like, I couldn't wait to fire this guy. And it was funny because it was against Sergeant Slaughter in the Iron Sheik, and Hogan actually stepped to Sheik like, yo, okay, when me and Slaughter are doing this match, go to Warrior, break his fucking leg. Break his leg for the shit he's doing to Vince. And Vince is like, no, look, I don't need any lawsuits. We're not doing that. Just have the match. Let me handle it. And I also noticed in this documentary that there weren't many wrestlers on here talking about him. I think Undertaker said a couple of things. Who else? Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and Shane McMahon. I think those were like the only WWE personalities that were on this documentary. It was mostly, his wife and his daughters, and understandably so, because I believe, I guess the family had to approve this before they put it out, and I guess they asked certain wrestlers, and I guess they was like, look, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. I didn't like this guy, so if you get me on camera, I'm going to tell the truth about him. Now, on the other hand of this, there's a series also on YouTube called Dark Side of the Ring, which I got to catch up on because I'm hearing these documentaries are like, crazy, and they get more in depth and more detailed than these A&E documentaries. So there's an episode of Ultimate Warrior that's supposed to drop with Dark Side of the Ring, which I'm sure, I don't know if they're going to bury him, kind of like the Self-Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD. I don't know. But I know in this one, that this was a classy piece on this legend. To me, he's a legend. I never knew the guy. I never had any interactions with him, so I would never discredit what people said about him. But I'm just speaking as a fan, as a kid growing up, when we would act out these wrestling moves at the playground, at the sandbox. We would do the clothesline, the gorilla press. You know what I'm saying? I got into a couple of fights where I even tried to Hulk up like Hulk Hogan when I was taking the loss. You know what I mean? I'd be getting my ass beat, and I'd get up, God damn it, he's hulking up, and do the whole finger pointing thing. That's when I really knew wrestling was not real. But yeah, Ultimate Warrior was definitely a hero at the time, and when he wrestled Hogan, I was so torn because I loved Hogan, but Warrior had so much momentum, so that was the talk of school, who was going to win. At the time I was like, 5th, 6th grade? I believe I was in the 5th grade. Who's going to win, Warrior or Hulk Hogan? You know what I mean? Hulk Hogan now is getting older, but he's still the Hulkster. Ultimate Warrior is the hot young talent now. Who's going to win this match? And I was torn. In my heart, if I can keep it a buck, in my heart, I wanted Hogan to win. But then when Warrior won, I wasn't mad, but I did feel that was the closing of a generation. You know what I mean? Because I came into wrestling on the tail end of when the shit was considered real, before Vince made it into like a live action cartoon. You know what I mean? So I came into wrestling during that transition. You know what I mean? So when he beat Hogan, that was the end of an era, and now it's the Ultimate Warrior era. But of course, I went through puberty. I grew up. I outgrew wrestling. I stopped watching until '96. When he also came back. If you remember in '96, he came back, and that's when I started watching again. But I did go through a period where I stopped watching wrestling, especially during his title reign. I don't remember Ultimate Warrior's title reign. I don't, I just don't remember it. And I don't know about y'all, but when the veil got lifted and I finally found out that wrestling was choreographed and these guys weren't the legit badasses that I thought they were, it kind of broke my heart. You know what I mean? I found out the hard way when I heard a story that Ric Flair told, where Ravishing Rick Rude, who Warrior used to punk on the regular, had a good feud with, but Warrior used to punk this guy. Rick Rude beat him up in a real fucking fight backstage because Warrior was smelling his own piss. He was full of himself. And Rude, who was a legit badass, he's one of the few, beat the shit out of Warrior. But at the same time, the average Joe couldn't go into the ring with any of these guys and fuck with him. I mean, I couldn't go in the ring with the Ultimate Warrior in his prime and beat his ass. Like, that guy's he's a tank. You know what I mean? So anyways, this documentary was dope. I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of the Ultimate Warrior, I think you would dig this documentary. I just wish we could have got more of the, more of the music and the shaking the ropes and shit and the buck wild shit. But yeah, dope ass documentary though. Condolences to his family, because his wife, his widow, you could tell that it still fucks with her to this day, and his daughters, it's tough, man. It's tough. Died young, man. I think he was like 50, Ooh, he was 55 or something like that when he passed, man. Tough loss. But anyways, highly recommend this documentary. If you've seen it, what you think about it, comment freely below. Thank you all for watching. Damn, had a brain fart. This is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.